Welcome to this special edition of Washington Watch on location in Philadelphia. Since we are in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, unless the opponents of the Eagles are in town, it is more than fitting that my first guest is Philadelphia Mayor Michael Nutter. In addition to running the city for today, the mayor is looking toward the future with this unique Greenworks Philadelphia program. Mayor Nutter, welcome to Washington Watch.
Good seeing you, Roland. Thank you.
A couple of months ago, I went to China with the National Urban League, and so we were visiting a number of different areas, and one of the things that we talked about there, what China is doing when it comes to the green economy. Is this country missing the boat by waiting and waiting and waiting and saying we're not quite sure on how the rest of the world is viewing the changing economy when it comes to green jobs?
Well, I can't tell you about the whole country. What I can tell you is that there are now over 1,000 mayors who have signed a climate protection support through the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Mayors all across America are doing things at the local level that will help ensure whether it's energy independence, whether it's sustainability goals. We have our Greenworks Philadelphia plan. We are ambitious enough to think that we can be the #1 green city in the United States of America in a few years. And so whether it's the materials that you use, new building standards, recycling, changing out all of your light bulbs to reduce your energy costs, these are real serious issues. But they also have money components to them in terms of savings, and they also have jobs. The new green economy is the growth sector of the United States, and it's certainly working very, very well for us. We appreciate the economic recovery dollars, often called stimulus, that we get from the federal government. That's led to new job training programs for folks, installing solar panels, putting in new doors and windows, weatherizing people's homes. So it's a winner for us, and economic recovery is working in Philly.
We're talking about a situation where you're talking about wind turbines, when you talk about solar panels, even when you take it, even when you're talking about rail systems as well. We're talking about large projects, billions of dollars. All of these steel mills that have been shut down, you have all of this labor used to doing stuff with their hands, saying, look, I need a job, yet it's like there's a struggle trying to get this transition to flip that switch. What does it take to get political leaders to say, look, this is real. We can do something here.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, President Obama has been talking about, I mean, when he was a candidate, was talking about alternative energy sources. He talked about wind. He talked about solar and the like. I think the federal government, though, will still have to really lay it out to the rest of the country as to what this is about. I think having an infrastructure bank is very important. You know, it's amazing. The federal government basically has no capital budget for itself. Now, they actually print the money, but you know, can't take care of many of our bridges and roads and the like, and so it's often left to cities and states to do that. I think that rolling out a national initiative to say this is where the country's going to be in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 some odd years.
So like President Kennedy did with space?
Absolutely. I mean, the president, I mean, I'm not necessarily sure he knew at the time how it was going to happen, but I mean, he just laid it out there and said by the end of the decade, we want to put a person on the moon. And it happened. And so, you know, there's that wonderful story when the president was down, I think, at Cape Canaveral, or, you know, the Space Center, ran into a guy who was literally a janitor sweeping the floor. He said, you know, what do you do here? And he said, I'm working to put a man on the moon. I mean, everyone was committed. And so I think the president and the Congress have to lay out a plan that says this is where we're going over the next 10, 15, 20 years, and we're going to put the dollars behind it, make a commitment, provide incentives to business to do certain things, and certainly cities and states.
When you came into office, you made it perfectly clear that when it came to rebuilding communities, when it came to confronting violence, when it came to getting people to understand it's not just about what the city is doing, it's what you're doing in your neighborhoods. On the night of the election, President Obama talked about rebuilding this country brick by brick, house by house, street by street. A couple examples of what you've been able to do to be effective in Philadelphia. Someone watching could say, man, I'm at home, I'm in my neighborhood, this is what I can even do where I sit.
Well, one of the things, you know, when I was a kid, every Saturday, everyone was out in the community, literally cleaning the block, cleaning right in front of their house. Everyone takes care of their own piece of the rock.
I say this speeches all the time. Just your part.
Right. Just sweep your steps and your sidewalk. And if everyone does it, you're going to have a clean community. So it's not about cans and bottles and papers and stuff all over the place. We've had the largest one-day citywide cleanup in the history of the country 2 years ago, in 2008. We just did the Philly citywide cleanup. We actually, Saturday, April 10th, will be our third. That is a community building exercise. People get engaged, they get involved.
But did it lead to other things that people all of a sudden say, wait a minute, we did this?
Right. Well, one, we're on the third one now, but it's really, people have said, we need to make this a more sustainable activity. It's not a one-time thing. I always say, you know, you don't brush your teeth one time.
Right.
You don't take a shower one time.
Absolutely.
Right? So you need to do it every day.
Right.
And so we talk about cleaning up the city in the same fashion. And so it really has inspired community building in a way that is beyond what the initial point was. So I think taking care of your community clearly is one thing. Looking out for our young people. You know, we've had some challenges with parents and their kids, and what we've said is, we can help you. Now, we're not going to raise your child for you. You had the children, you have to take care of them.
Right.
But making sure that our rec centers are open, our libraries are open, our swimming pools in the summertime, after-school programs, making that investment, even in the worst economic climate. There are investments that you have to make sure that you're looking after your most vulnerable population, and that's certainly our children. So we've kept those commitments.
Before I get to home foreclosures, I got to ask you, I remember that was an initiative here. Wasn't there a gathering of some 10,000 black men that came together?
Yeah.
What's been the state of, what's the status of that? Was there any follow-through, any follow-up? What happened?
There were a series of events and activities in the aftermath of that. You know, I quite honestly, you don't hear a great deal about it at the moment. I think it's become more localized at a community level, as opposed to, you know, 10,000 folks marching down the street all at one time. I think, again, many community-based organizations, civic leaders, block captains, community leaders were inspired by that work. But community building really does start as a very, very localized situation, and it is block to block. It's community leader to community leader. It's faith-based leaders as well. And we have a tremendous faith-based community here in Philadelphia that are doing many, many things that we can't even do as a city government.
All right, Mayor Nutter, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.